Good morning. Here we are at the 17th of August, and our reading for today comes from Acts chapter 15, the Council at Jerusalem. But some men came down from Judea and were teaching the brethren, unless you are circumcised according to the custom of Moses, you cannot be saved. And when Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and debate with them, Paul and Barnabas and some of the others were appointed to go up to Jerusalem to the apostles and the elders about this question. So being sent on their way by the church, they passed through both Phoenicia and Samaria, reporting the conversion of the Gentiles, and they gave great joy to all the brethren. When they came to Jerusalem, they were welcomed by the church and the apostles and the elders, and they declared all that God had done with them. But some believers who belonged to the party of the Pharisees rose up and said, "It is necessary to circumcise them and to charge them to keep the law of Moses." The apostles and the elders were gathered together to consider this matter, and after there had been much debate, Peter rose and said to them, "Brethren, you know that in the early days God made choice among you that by my mouth the Gentiles should hear the word of the gospel and believe. And God, who knows the heart, bore witness to them, giving them the Holy Spirit, just as he did to us. And he made no distinction between us and them, but cleansed their hearts by faith." Well, here we have Peter being the intercessor who stops the debate, or at least puts it off for a while. Is Christianity a plank to get back to Judaism, especially for Gentiles who were never there in the first place? Or does it exist and stand alone as a world religion with, of course, Jewish roots? The church early on had to fight that out, and had the decision gone the other way, it would have been a very different world by our time as well. God desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. And in order for that to happen, the church is given its ministry upon earth to proclaim Jesus Christ as God's way of bringing us into right relationship with him, right relationship with one another. Indeed, Jesus Christ as God's way of repossessing the whole world and turning it into what he intended it to be all along. This early debate was a big one. They do settle out on some issues that the Gentiles have to keep. They are expected to avoid the pollution of idols. They are expected to refrain from unchastity and from what is strangled and from blood. And they are expected to avail themselves of the knowledge of Moses' law, even though the strict keeping of that law is not required of them. Eventually, the church settled on we are required to keep all of the moral laws of the Old Testament, but we're not required to keep the ritual laws or the purity laws of the Old Testament. And that has pretty much held with some exception. God has great expectations of us, and obedience to God is certainly a necessary thing. But the church, Christianity, is a standalone world religion. It is not a plank to get people into Judaism. And we move forward on that basis. Have a great day.